everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Lottie and today we are doing round 8 of the TBR Scrolls. It's back! I am doing my TBR game again in September. I feel so much more refreshed after mood reading in August. We are going to be doing the TBR Scrolls again, and also I'm going to be doing my Bookoplathon TBR and rolls in this video. If you have not seen a TBR Scrolls video before, basically it is my Skyrim themed TBR game where I have used the video game Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls, to create a board game to pick books for my monthly TBR based on things that are kind of related to the Skyrim world. If you would like to, I will leave a link in the description to the playlist so you can see all of the videos in this series so far and kind of get an idea of the rules and the board itself. I am going to be doing 4 rolls this month, which is kind of my average, and again I shuffle the cards every single month as well. I don't think there's anything else that I need to explain for the TBR Scrolls, so let's get on with the rolls. So it's been a hot minute since we've done this, but back in July we left off over here just before Windhelm, so let's get started with roll number 1, and that's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is a Standing Stones card. And we have the Lover, Cease Rolling Immediately, and Mood Read this month. Wow, okay. That is incredible luck. So that was pretty quick. The first roll that we got was for a Standing Stones card, and this one is the Lover, and the prompt is to just mood read for the month, which is very easy. I could have done with this last month. So yeah, I'm not going to do any more rolls for the TBR Scrolls this month because I just need to mood read. So yeah, that's my TBR Scrolls TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching. So this makes it pretty easy for me to try and work out a TBR for the readathons I'm doing in September. So thank you to the TBR Scrolls for picking this card for me. So yes, I am doing 3 readathons in September. The first, of course, is Bookoplathon, which was created by Becca and the Books. I love this readathon. It's what's inspired me, or the game itself has inspired me to do my own TBR game. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that we don't have any prompts for the TBR Scrolls to try and fit into the readathons I want to do. So let's get on with my Bookoplathon rolls for this month. I'm going to slightly change up the rules a little bit. I'm going to be doing 4 rolls, which is what I find the most manageable. Of course, I will be adding books if I get doubles. Instead of chance cards, I will be picking a book from my TBR jar, the mystery mug, which has basically every single book that I own physically, digitally, written on a slip of paper, so I can use this instead of my chance cards. And then for the community shelf spaces, I will be alternating, depending on how many times I roll on it, if at all, between picking Aedra and Daedra cards and People and Places cards from my own TBR game. Without further ado, let's get on with the Bookoplathon rolls. Okay, so now for the Bookoplathon TBR. So we are obviously going to be starting on go. I only have 1 die, so I'm going to be rolling this twice to work out what my rolls are. So roll number 1 is 2 plus 6, so that's 8. So that first one is pattern and text. So roll number 1, we got patterns and text, and according to the Bookoplathon guide, this means you need to pick a book with a patterned cover or with text covering the majority of the cover, or a combination of both. So for this prompt, I'm going to be choosing The Wicked King by Holly Black. The other 2 spaces in this kind of category both relate to either buildings or people, so I feel like an object on the cover doesn't sort of break the patterns and text rule too much. Plus the title of the book is very large on the cover itself, so that's why I am justifying this prompt for this book. I feel like it's not too much of a stretch, but because it's the majority like about the crown, I feel like it's not patterns and text, but it's got a lot of text on it. This is the second book in the Cruel Prince trilogy. I don't remember the name of the trilogy itself, but it's the second book after The Cruel Prince. I read the first one earlier this year and liked it. It was like a 3-star read for me, so I'm interested to carry on with the series and kind of just wrap it up. So yeah, I'll be carrying on with the second book. This trilogy was gifted to me by Jem from Bookish Gems. Thank you so much, Jem. The premise of this world is about a girl called Jude who was kind of taken to Elfheim, the fairylands, as a child, and she was raised there even though she's human. She kind of has a rivalry with one of the fae princes called Cardan, and it is kind of like a fantasy romance series, more fantasy, less romance, at least in the first book. So I'm intrigued to see how this will carry on. And roll number 2. So that is 5 plus 1, that is 6. So that has landed on published or set since the year 2020. Roll number 2 gave me the published or set since 2020 prompt, which is pretty straightforward. Now, the book I've chosen for this prompt might not be obvious at first, and it is, I suppose, a little bit of a stretch, but just hear me out. So I'm going to choose 1922 by Stephen King, which was neither published since 2020 nor written, like is set since 2020. It's obviously set in 1922. Now, this edition of this book was published in 2021, which is how I'm going to justify it, because the story itself is older than 2020, but this physical book was published in 2021. If you don't believe me, it says it right there on the copyright page. So I am going to be reading 1922 by Stephen King. I really need to catch up with my Stephen King collection. I'm kind of collecting all of the new editions that are coming out leading up to the anniversary of Carrie. I think it's the 75th? No, that's wrong. The 50th anniversary of Carrie? Yeah, I think it's the 50th anniversary of Carrie. Like, I own a lot of Stephen King, but I don't read it very often. But it's kind of approaching spooky season, so I really want to start reading more spooky books, and I feel like this will be a nice kind of short thriller to get me in the mood for spooky season. I don't like to know too much going into my Stephen Kings. I like to be surprised, so I won't give you a synopsis of this other than the fact that it's set in 1922. Roll number 3 is 2 plus 1, that's 3. Community shelf. So I'm going to pull from the People and Places pile, and we have the Blades. Read a grand book. Examples include a beautiful cover or a large hardback. So the third roll gave me the Blades for Community Shelf, and so the prompt on this is to read a grand book. So this can be a beautiful cover or a like really big hardback, or it could be like a special edition. So for this, I'm choosing The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is the special Afterlight by Illumicrate edition from the August box, and I'm really excited to read this book because it's one of my newest owned books. So yeah, I really want to dive into this. I bought the ebook edition way back in January and obviously still haven't picked it up, so now I'm finally having an excuse to do it. I wouldn't necessarily consider this to be a grand book, but because it's a special edition, it fits that prompt. I think Becca from the Becca File will be very excited to see that I am reading this. It's like her favourite book. She's read it 5 times since she read it like last year, so I have very high hopes for this. It is a adult romance about these 2 people. I don't really know much about it other than it's like nerdy. It's about people in STEM, and I think it is based off a Reylo fanfiction, so I'm a little bit worried because I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I don't think there'll be too many references in this that I could miss. I don't know, but I am excited to read it. I miss my adult romance. I haven't read any in a really long time now. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one. And possibly the last roll number 4. We have 4 plus 2. So that is 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we've got letter. My final roll for Bookoplathon. I'm so glad that I didn't get any doubles. I've got very lucky this month with both my own TBR game and Bookoplathon. So of course I got the random letter generator and I have done this in advance, and the letter I got was the letter M, which I'm very, very pleased with. So the book I have chosen for the random letter of M is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I just really want to continue on with the Throne of Glass series after reading Queen of Shadows last month. I really loved it. I should already have a reading vlog of Queen of Shadows up. It is spoiler filled, but I will leave a link in the cards and in the description if you would like to check that out. I am going to be continuing on with this series. I'm absolutely loving it after the last book, which is such a shock to me. So yeah, I'm going to be carrying on with Empire of Storms, obviously M for Maas, because according to the Bookoplathon rules, the random letter generator, letter can be used to find a book that starts with that letter or an author whose first or last name starts with the letter. So of course M for Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and we are following an assassin called Selena in the first book as she is taken out of these salt mines to become the King's Champion. High fantasy series, and by this point like a lot has happened, and I'm really excited to find out what's going to happen next. So before I talk about the other 2 readathons that I'm going to be doing in September, I will just mention my monthly read along book that I do every single month. So as you know by now, I'm doing By the Angel Along, which was created by Becca from the Becca Fowl, and for September our book is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare, the 6th and final book in the Mortal Instruments series. Oh my gosh, we did have a little bit of a break from the Mortal Instruments to read the Infernal Devices series, which I loved, by the way. So it's going to be weird going back to the world of Clary and Jason, Simon and everyone. I'm excited to see the conclusion to this series, because after we finish this one we're going to be moving on to some of the short story collections, and then hopefully after that we'll be moving on into the more recent trilogies that have come out. I'm very excited for those. This is the last book in the Mortal Instruments series, so obviously I can't talk too much about it without giving away spoilers, but in the first book we're following Clary Frey as she discovers the world of the Shadow Hunters after seeing a person who is actually a demon being murdered in a nightclub. She gets wrapped up in this world and loads of stuff happens. I have loved following along with this journey. This series is so much fun to read. It's nothing too serious, nothing too heavy, but it's just a lot of fun. So the other 2 readathons that I'm doing are both week-long readathons, and the first one is WaywardSonAthon, which is hosted by Jem from Bookish Gems and Amy from Books with Amy. This takes place between the 12th and the 18th of September, and I will show you guys the bingo board. I'm not going to pick anything specific to read that week just yet, but I know that the books on my TBR will fulfill several of the prompts on that bingo board for that week. So pretty much whatever I'm planning to pick up will fulfill some of those prompts. And then the second readathon is RollTheRainbowthon, which was created by Christy from Christy Reads. I can't remember everybody's channel anymore. But yeah, it was created by Christy. I'll obviously leave a link to everything in the description for announcement videos and all that jazz if you would like to go and check them out. This again is between the 12th and the 18th of September, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to try and juggle too many books for these 2 week-long readathons. This one is a pretty easy one as well. The prompts aren't too difficult. You pretty much just have to pick books that match the colours that Christy rolled for the readathon. A lot of the books that are on my TBR for the whole month will fulfill the colours that were chosen, so I can pretty much again pick up whatever I want that week and it will fulfill at least 1 prompt. I'm not going to take any of the readathons that I'm doing this month too seriously. It's all a bit of fun, but especially the week-long ones, I'm not going to stress myself out and try look hard to fit in loads of books for each of the prompts. If I can fit 1 book in that week and fulfill at least 1 prompt for each readathon, I'll be happy. So here we go, that is my September TBR for 2022 and for the 2022 edition of Bookoplathon, as well as RollTheRainbowthon and WaywardSonAthon. I am so excited to read these books. I feel like I've got a really good selection this month. A lot of different genres, just kind of keep me on my toes, spice things up a bit. So hopefully I won't get too bored with reading the same stuff over and over again. It is quite a chunky TBR, especially with these two. These are very, very long books. I had hoped to try and fit in one of the Noughts and Crosses books onto this month's TBR as well, but I feel like if I added an extra book on top of my readathon books, it just would be a little bit too much for me. So I'm excited to read these 5 books in September. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below what you are reading in September. If you haven't already and you would like to be, please do consider subscribing. I post a new video every single week, and that's it from me today, guys. Bye!